Okay. Okay, so, it's a terrible tragedy. I mean, I don't have to tell you, the Gemara says, Ein ho'ish meis elo le'ishtoi. A person's only considered dead to his wife. And the truth of the matter is that under the circumstances, I would like to start with something because over the past year and a half or 2 years, I had several encounters in person with Rav Matisyahu and some of them in writing, and in which we discussed his final and terminal stage of his life, and I think he was very much aware of his condition. He was looking, he was searching for hope, he was searching for tikva, but he was very, very like anything else in life where he searched the truth with no boundaries and with no limitations and contingencies. So too here, he was very much a truth finder. And we discussed many times his illness. And I would like to start just from this point and then go focus on what was my vision of him throughout the over 25 years that we had Kesha. Very fascinating. This past Shabbos, we read in the Torah a phenomenal story where Avram Avinu takes his son Ishmael and he sends him across out of the house, and he takes his wife, his shifcha, his isha / he puts a kettle of water and you people, Schweizer people, call rucksack, and he sends her out to the desert. Vateisa bamidbor, she goes to wander, she's wandering, going to the land of no man's land. And then there's a drought. The boy can't drink and he's thirsty. And if you look in Chazal, they portray the event very, very extensively of his Isurim of Tzomo, of thirst. He was very thirsty. He was thirsty to the stage that continuing in Lashon Chazal, Shoah Achas, 1 hour, he would have been no longer there. And then he goes to daven, and she goes to daven. They're both davening. There's one davening of Hagar, the mother, and one davening of Ishmael, the son. Ishmael was at a time, according to Chazal, there's many opinions, but at the time he was 17 years. Take the average, he was 17 years of age. And she davens and he davens. And then it says in the pasuk, "Vayishma Elokim el kol hana'ar," HaKadosh Baruch Hu is listening to the voice of the boy. Now let's try to search a little deeper into it. Hagar was a tzadekis. She was a shifcha, and she was wanted very much to be mizdabek bezare shel Avram and Avram Avinu. When she is sent out of the house, and when Sarah dies, he goes and remarries her. The second wife of Avram Avinu, Keturah, is ipso facto Hagar. It's the same lady. V'lomar nikro Keturah shemaseya noim kekteris. Her beautiful deeds are like a teres. It smells very like a perfume. So she is davening on one corner, and the other side, Ishmael is davening. Who is Ishmael? Ishmael is somebody that we find in Chazal was Oved Avodah Zarah Gila Reis Shfichas Damim. He did all 3 Averos Chamuris, Metzachek Gemitzchok, he did all 3 Averos Chamuris. Furthermore, in the very same encounter, the Torah calls him Pere Odom, Yodo Bakol V'Yad Kol Boy. Pere Odom, they call in Yiddish Ajulik. He's a Pere Odom. And he is davening, she is davening. Now, she is a tzadekis, she is Maaseh Noim Kekteris, she's a mother with a mother's understanding, And on the other hand, there's a 17-year-old teenager, rebellious teenager, who grew up in Avram Avinu's house, but nothing shed on him. He had avodah zora, gila arayis, shvichas damim, and don't think of Avram Avinu as not mechanechim. When the malachim come, he's vayishlach el anar to go ahead and prepare the meal for the malachim. Achnos asorchim, he learned by his father. Anar chazal zeh Ishmael. So it's not like his father deprived him, but he was mechunach by Avram, and yet he went off the derech to the extent of the tachtis she'oil avodah zora, gila arayis, shvichas damim. And they're both standing in this junction of the terminal stage of his life. Shor achas, he would die, and yet Vayishma Elokim el kol anar, he only, HaKadosh Baruch Hu listens to the tefillah of the nar, and Chazal say, wow, Rashi brings it down, what we just read, Melamed sheyofo tefillas hachoyle al atzmoi. The choyle davens for himself, there is nobody like his tefillah. So if I were to ask a question, there's two people standing here, one of them is avodah zora gil arash v'chas damim, a teenager, rebellious teenager, peri adam, who is davening. Who knows what his davening is like? And on the other side, there is a mother who is mature, who is elderly, who is Maseh Noam Kekteris, and Avram Avinu's wife wanted to be Mizdabek in Avram, and Avram marries her not the first time, but the second time as well. So apparently she was a very great woman. So one would ask me, if there are two of them davening, who's a Kadosh Baruch Hu should listen to whose tefillah? This Peri Adam teenager, or this mother who is a tzaddikus, who Avram Avinu finds after the exit and after his wife dies to remarry her? Anybody would say with his right mind, of course, the tefillah of the mother is much more shokul than the tefillah of the son. And yet we find not that way. We find that the tefillah of the son is because Yofa tefillah achel atzma. And I want to say something, and I saw it very much in Matisyahu, Zecher Tzadik Livrach. You know, somebody is sick. You could be as close as, you could be a son, you could be a spouse, you could be a dear wife, you could be a dedicated mother, you could be anything you want. But it comes to a matzev where a person, when the mother says she can't take it anymore, I can't. I gotta take off 15, I gotta go to be with myself. And when this encounter, we have to listen, fine-tune to what it says. I can't see the death. I just can't. I got to close my eyes for a moment. A choyle is somebody who is with himself and with the machle 24/7. There is no moment where a person who is a choyle, who understands his machle, can disassociate himself, can disillusion himself, and get out of this mode. He's there the whole time. And this is what I saw. I saw in him that he understood. He was a philosopher. He was a thinker. He was a brilliant thinker. And he understood very well. And he came to me and asked me, statistically, is that correct to say that I have a 50-50 chance of surviving? I mean, he was talking to me about percentages. Because he brought me his papers. He says, would I be defined as somebody who doesn't have 12 months to live? And we're talking about Yom Kippur, we're talking about this, we're talking about that. And his vision of his machle was such that he fully understood. You know, he made a play that he was a little bit naive, and maybe he was a little bit cynical and sarcastic about it, like he always was. He liked to have this sarcastic edge to him. But in essence, he understood very well where he's going towards. He's understood very well where he's going towards. And yet, in this tkufa of the past 2 years, how long is it since he's diagnosed? I think 2 years around? Since the first time?
Yeah, it was January would be 2 years.
Right, exactly, like almost 2 years. A year and 10 months, a year and 11 months. I mean, I think he started before in like Sukkot's time, but till it was dragging back and forth, I mean, if I remember correctly. And yet, he came back to Kailo. He got his first therapy, and he was sitting there, and I'm looking at him one day, and I see his thirst for knowledge. He always used to have his index cards. He used to always write everything on the index. Anything which was important to him, he used to file on an index card. And I remember I was sitting once with Shlomo Goldstein looking at him, and I say, look at this man. He just came back, he had a PT scan, and it says this, it says that, he extra, and I explained it to him. I try to make it a little bit softer, to cuddle him with a little love and give him the hope and to mechazik him. He says, well, I understand. He says, it's not fooling around this and this and that. But could Rav Sorotzkin tell me the pshat in Tosfos? I mean, I was amazed. Like, this was, he's a person who understands, he has a 30% chance of not being around, 40%, 60%, 80%. He's playing around with the numbers. He knows that he's not going to be around. And his search, his mevakesh, his thirst for knowledge, he was with himself the whole round the clock. He's there round the clock protection. There's no way out. He always understood. He told me he's going to his basement. He's looking at his forum. He's there with himself. And he's like all the books that he bought about this and that. He was describing to me, so fascinating. And he never managed to read all of them. He said he spent so much money buying those books and he never read. And he said to me, I am so, when I have a pshat, a real pshat, and I understands the pshat in the Rashba and the Taisus, there is no bare satisfaction that he had in his life. And I was so spoiled, people in his matzah, people in his condition, people in his situation, usually lose it. They lose the hope. They certainly lose the cheshek. Cheshek is something, it's very, very psychological. When somebody, you don't go, when you're depressed, you don't enjoy a piece of meat. You're just depressed. You don't want to eat. You just don't want to be there. And his thirst for Torah, his thirst for knowledge, is mevakesh emes. He was such a truthful person. He was genuine. By me, the symbol of a ish emes was him. Because emes, there is no 90% emes. There's no 95% emes. There's no 99.99. It's not Lysol. It's not a antibacterial wipe, which is 99.999%. Emes is 100%. Either you're truthful, you're genuine, or you're not there. And if you're missing the 0.001, you're not Emes, because Emes is 100% Emes. And this is what I saw in him. This beauty of his personality, this a love and tshuka for Torah was second to none. I'm humbled that, I call him my friend, but at a certain extent, he was my Rebbe as well. He taught, there's a lot of things that we learned from Matisyahu. Learned from him the mevakesh emes, not giving up, thriving on challenges, and seeking the truth to the very, very bitter end. This is something which is, I'm spoiled from his godless ha'adam. This is number one. Now, I don't think this man, I knew him for probably 25 years. Never ever, I never ever saw him with a taina on anybody. I never ever saw him with anger. I didn't see him with anger. I never ever saw him with not mekabel esadim be'ahavo. I remember the time where his son, Shlomo Zalman, that was his name, if I remember correctly, was nifter, and he called me, and I came to the house. I was sitting in the house where the boy was still there, and he took me to the side, and he was asking me, am I supposed to accept his Zadok Zera? And I was showing him a Radak at the end of Malachi, and he says, I got a gift from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, such a wonderful child, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave it to me, and we loved him, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu decided this gift has a limit of time. I was sitting there, and I was looking at myself, and I was saying to myself, Ribono Shel Olam, another father, the way he took it, the way he understood it, this maturity, this sincerity, this truthfulness, and being able to be there under all circumstances, when it's rainy, when it's sunny, when it's cloudy, when it's gray, when it's black. He was there, and he was there the next day as well. He was there, and he was there the next day. Another nekuda is, we discussed, besides Torah, I had shaykhs with him, and we discussed his love and his daige for his children. This is something that I never ever forget. He was so worried, and he was so, the word is not worried, he felt such a responsibility to make sure that each and every child should be mesudar. He wanted them to be mesudar. I have a letter from him from 2-3 months ago that, whatever it is, I'm not getting into details, but explicitly talking about this responsibility, and he felt something was not completed, and he asked me for my for my assistance and if I'm willing to get involved. He understood exactly where he was going. He understood exactly what was on the sign on the wall was there. He saw it very clear and very precise. But he elevated his own source. He got up. He rose from the ashes. He thrived on the challenge. And he says, this son, this child needs to be Mesudar. And if I can't be there, I'm asking you tomorrow morning, it's another day, could I make this deposit by you? And not only that, he says, I want to make a paper and I'm going to send you the paper and please tell me if I have to correct the language. He was so worried about it. This is a father that he was totally, totally selfless. He was totally, totally dedicated. He was totally, totally what we call in Yiddish, übergegeben. Somebody who is giving himself over. Mamish makes himself like he is nothing for himself, and yet everything for others. So, this is the Aveda is very great, and it's very, very painful, and the hole is, the void is very much there. We don't have, ein lanu chelek ben historis, we don't have the recipe book, we don't have the dictionary, we don't have the blueprint of the world. Nobody understands. Sometimes we look, sometimes it takes 100 years later to understand why did HaKadosh Baruch Hu do this that way. We're not here, we're not balabatim. Anybody who claims he knows doesn't. There's no knowledge. We're here, we have visitors coming to the shul. We don't know why the Gabbai is giving an aliyah here to this guy sitting in the front and the next guy sitting in the back. It doesn't make our shul, they give it straight orderly, very orderly. Why is the Gabbai giving in this shul? He's calling this guy from the Mizrach and this guy from the Tzafan and this guy from the Ma'ariv. We don't see the pictures. We're merely visitors that are coming to have a glimpse of this world. What I want to say to the family, first of all, if you want to fulfill his unwritten will, first of all, I think that the Sefer that he wrote, the book that he wrote, I got 6 days ago an email with the Haskama of Rabbi Fiansky, and he asked me I should read it, and could you please comment on it? Am I masking to what he says there? 6 days ago. On Tuesday, I'm sorry, it's 7 days ago. On Tuesday of last week, I got an email from Matityahu Rosenblum. I asked Rav Lupiansky for a letter of Haskama, and it took him 12 hours to write me, and this is the letter. He sends me the letter. I should remark if it's good or it's not good. And I think that's his tzavot. That was the last mitzvah l'kayim divrei. It should be published, whatever by any fashion or way, or it has to be edited, or it has to be completed. That's the first thing you got to do. I think it's a must. I think that was mitzvah l'kayim divrei ameis. This is the very, very fundamental request that he has. That's number one. Number two, I want to say, he died on a week after Rachel Imeinu's Yortzeit. And I want to say something. Rachel Imeinu was died on Yud Aleph Cheshvan. Matityahu died a week later, or, not even a full week later. Rachel Imeinu was 37 years of age. She was 37, according to Chazal. Some Medrashim make her 35, but according to the Brisa Seder Olam Rabbah and Pirkei Abloza, she was 37 years old. She's giving birth, and Vatomer lo hameyaledes al tir'i ki gam ze lach ben. Don't worry, you have a son. Son is born. Vayei betzeis nafsho kimeisa. When her neshama goes out, she says, Vatikra shmoi ben Oni. She gave him a name to the son, Ben Oni. Ve'oviv karaloi Binyamin. And his father gave him another name, Binyamin. And the question is obvious. Yaakov Avinu, the Ramban calls him Bechira Ovis. Rachel Imeinu, the relationship between the two of them doesn't say too many places in the Torah, Vayehav Yaakov es Rachel. This is the first love story, quote unquote, written in the Torah. He loves her. And this is the love of Yaakov Avinu. It's not in our Shakespearean love. It's the love of Yaakov Avinu to Rachel. And what is she? She's giving birth, Nebuch, and she's dying on her. Whilst giving birth, she's dying. What is she asking for? The name. They want to call him a name. Patikra Shmo Ben Aini. And calls Yaakov Avinu immediately. He doesn't wait. She has to hear, and she heard. No, I'm sorry, I'm taking the name. The name is Binyamin, not Ben Oni. And the question is obvious. You have a woman, even if the name belongs to you. You know, sometimes Machlekes, the name goes, my father, your father, my Zayde, you Zayde. But under the circumstances, this minimal courtesy shouldn't have been bestowed upon Mama Rachel. Give her the name. Give her, heaven's sake, give her the name. What are you taking away from her? No, the Aviv called her Binyamin. And I think the Pshat is as follows. This is the message I want to tell you, Hannah and all the children. Ben Oni, the word Oni means, Rashi says, Ben Evli. Miloshen Aninut. Aninut is Oinen. Oinen is somebody who's an oval. Ben Oini, she's calling him my son of my sorrow, my son of my avelus, my son of my aninus, because she knows I'm dying. This is the son who is born whilst I'm expiring. There's a new generation, rebirth, but I'm dying. And he's Ben Oini, the son of my Evel, Rashi says. Yaakov Avinu comes and says, I'm sorry. I'm going to call him Binyamin, but I'm not taking away the name from you, because the word Oni in Hebrew, in Lashon Kodesh, is a dual meaning. It's either Oni milashon aninut, or Oni milashon koach. Reshit Oni, on is koach, is power, is strength. Says the Ramban, the strong hand of the person is Yad Yamin, the hand, the right hand. Why do we put the tefillin on the left hand? Because it says V'hoyu lois al yodecho. Yodecho is Yad Keha, the shvache hand, the weaker hand. Yamin, the Ramban says, Boya koyach, boa gvura, boa tzlacho. The right side is the side of the power, the side of the strength. Says Yaakov, you know what? It's going to be Ben Oini. I'm giving you, I'm not taking away. You have prior art to this patent. And it's Ben Oini, but it's not Oini Tsari. It's Ben Oini Ben Hakoach, Reishis Oini. It's going to be the son of the strength. They're both playing around with the same word, Ben Oni. But she's taking it to the Avelis arena, and Yaakov says, no, I'm sorry. When we're going to rebuild the world, this Shvatim, this Shevet of Binyamin, years to come down the road, when they're going to build a Mishkan, down the road, we're going to have a building a Mishkan, and the Kohen Gadol is going to have a Cheshvan. There's going to be 12 stones, and every one of the Shvatim's name is going to be written on it. And every letter, according to the Gemara in Saita, counts. One iota, Yosef, Yehosef, with a vav, with a hey. It's going to be Yamin. You know why? Because you do not perpetuate your personal tragedy. When you're going to go further in life, you don't say Ben Oni, you don't say Ben Tsari. You don't take the Tsar, you don't take the Aninus, you don't take the Avelis and perpetuate it and say, this is the son of my sorrow. Life has to carry on, says Yaakov. It's only, I'm giving you the name, but I'm just taking the other side of the coin for the interpretation of Ben, not Tsari, but Ben Achoizek, Ben Agvura, Ben Atzlach. Your husband, your father was nifter. Unfortunately, it's a major tragedy. It's a tragedy for all. You know, you're going to get up, you're going to sit down another few days, and you're going to get up from the Shiva, whatever, Sunday morning. That's Sunday morning, correct? And you're starting a life with a vacancy, a life with a void, a life with a chisaron. But you have to remember, Yaakov Avinu teaches us that you cannot perpetuate and thrive on tragedies. Take the tragedy, convert it, make a little shinui, turn it around to the other side, and the same Ben Tsari could become Ben HaChoizek, Ben HaGvura, Ben HaHatzloch. You had a very, very chashuv father, children, a very, very chashuv person. He was brilliant, he was emesdik, he was genuine, he didn't have one mean bone in his body. He was perfect, not one mean bone. He was kulei toiv. You know, he was a wonderful husband and an outstanding father. He's not here. There's two ways to go about it. Either you sit there and you mourn his death and you continue being Morish Chayra, or you say, no, you know what? We're going to flip it. We're going to take the Oin, we're going to take this Avelis, we're going to turn it around and make it into Ben Yamin, Ben Akoyach, Ben Agvur, Ben Atzloch. Take your father's midos, take his strength, take his gvuras hanefesh, his ta'atsumois hanefesh. The kids have a big achrayas right now to support the mother. I don't talk about financial support. To support the mother. It's a time that the wound is very open. And it's very, 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 very a lot of pain. You know, now by the Shiva everybody comes and people are around and the mishpach is around, the brothers are around, everybody's around. You wake up tomorrow morning and your mother is going to be the one facing the halal, the void, the vacancy. You have to fill the house back again. The house has to be full of love, full of joy, full of simcha, and I'm sure that this is what Rav Matisyahu wanted. He's looking up from heaven. I'm sure he has his index cards up there. I don't have any question mark. And there's place for index cards upstairs as well. And he's looking at you, and he's searching you, and he's watching you, and he's caring about you, and he's loving you, and he's mispabel for you like nobody had. He once told me, there's nothing compares to a tefillah of a Baal Tshuva in the world. That's what he told me. A tefillah of a Baal Tshuva, there's nothing nicer in God's eyes than a Baal Tshuva tefillah. And he says a few Baal Tshuva davening together for him was the height of the heights. He's standing there, Tshuva, he's Shav el HaKadosh Baruch Hu, he's back, went upstairs to the place where his neshama came from. Kadosh Baruch Hu should give, you should have the koyach, you should have the gesund, and you should be strong, go in his path, support your mother, give her the physical, the mental, the emotional, the moral, the ethical support that she needs. She's an Isha G'dayla, she brought all of you up, you understand? And be there, take the avelis, turn it around, go to the phase of yamin, of gvura, of hatzlacha. Tell you, I'm walking menachem eschem b'soich shah avelis yiv Yerushalayim, v'leisa sifu l'dai v'oid. And I'm here. And if you people need me, Matisyahu know how to get a hold of me. My email, unfortunately, I'm still in America. I hope to be coming back very soon. But wherever I needed, whenever I'm needed, and wherever I needed, some of the children, I had some shaykhs, and the phone calls and through different correspondence. I'm here as much as I could in my little capabilities to help, to assist. I'm there and I will be there, and you can always turn to me. But remember your father, follow his path, and fulfill his unwritten tzavah to you. Leman yitzave esbanov ve'esbeisa achav v'holchu b'derech Hashem la'aseis tzedakah u'mishpat. Thank you.